わさびアニメすごいですね。
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wasabi Anime's 20th anniversary special, celebrating a very obscure, very little known Nickelodeon cartoon that aired, wait for it, let me grab my Advil before I say this, 20 years ago, 2 solid decades ago. Invader ZIM premiered March 30th in 2001, ran 27 episodes before it was prematurely canceled. Wasabi Anime, for those of you that aren't familiar, is a convention company. We run our own conventions, and we also partner with a number of conventions like Fan Expo and Gen Con to run content. And one of those projects we started 10 years ago was InvaderCON. InvaderCon was designed to be a one-time convention to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of Invader ZIM 10 years ago. So when we realized that we were coming up on another anniversary, we tried to find ways to do things. Obviously, we have limitations right now due to COVID. So we decided to try to put together as much of a reunion as we could as possible. When we did so, we got very lucky, and our contacts at Hot Topic reached out. And during the stream, we will be giving away not one, but 2 $100 gift certificates to people in the chat. So look in the chat and make sure that you enter. I believe it's apostrophe symbol raffle to enter. We'll do one before the 30-minute mark and one again at the end. Additionally, this stream will have commercials. If you want to support us, this is a free stream. Feel free to subscribe, even if it's just for the 1 month on Twitch, in order to get through the stream without knowing when the random pesky advertisements show up. Now, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce all of our amazing guests one at a time. Let them introduce themselves to you. You probably know most of them. If not, you're going to learn all about them over the next hour. First off, Aaron, if you could introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Aaron Alexovich. I was a character designer on the original series and the movie and the comic books. And Zim has had his talons in me for 20 years now. I cannot escape him.
Yeah, the 2 decades, every time that brings up, a little part of me cringes.
They come up a lot.
It is, this whole stream. We're going to be like, oh, back when we were that age. Next up, Mr. Trueheart, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, hello. My name's Eric Trueheart. I was a writer for the original series, as well as working on the Oni Comics revival. And also I've written a book called The Medium-Sized Book of Zim Scripts, available at fine drugstores everywhere. So.
Yes, beautiful shameless plug. You smoothed that in.
Right in. Didn't even,
and we will have the link to buy that book in the chat, along with a number of other opportunities for everybody watching. Next up, Kevin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Hey guys, so I was the lucky one composer that got to write and create the musical score on Zim, and also was able to come back and score the Florpus, which was such a phenomenal and humbling experience. So it's really fun to be here today.
Excellent. Kevin, thank you for coming. Next, the wonderful Melissa Fawn, who we've now known each other for 20 years. I remember when we started doing this, and you had just given birth to your son years later. It's been that long. So tell everybody about yourself.
Well, actually, Tom, wait a minute. You said 20 years. I met you 10 years ago.
10 years ago, sorry, that's right.
And my little boy just turned 11. I can still do math at this old age. Yeah.
You're doing better than me. The coffee hasn't kicked in.
So, hey guys, I'm Melissa Fawn, and I am the voice of Gaz. And I am so happy to be here with you guys, celebrating 20 years. I can't even believe that we can say that, 20 years. But happy anniversary, boo.
Yeah, 20 years. Next, after so we have Olivia. Olivia, if you can introduce yourself.
Hi.
You there? There she is.
Yes. I'm looking.
Look at Ricky.
Ricky.
Ricky's got a target on him.
Poor Ricky.
The transition has happened. I have a penis. Okay.
Well, there's the quote of the stream, folks.
That's lunch.
I'm Olivia Darbo. I play Tack, and I'm just so honored to be here today celebrating the 20 years of this incredibly eccentric cast. Genius, movie, TV show, whatever it may morph into next. And I'm just very excited to be here with you all, the audience and the cast today. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. Thank you for coming, Olivia. Next, we have the very quiet, very reserved, very introverted Mr. Richard Horvitz. If you can tell us about your minor contribution to the series, please.
I thought this was a Power Ranger Zoom, so I don't know who any of these people are. I've never met any of you. From what I've experienced, I don't like any of you currently. But other than that, I'll see you next time.
Excellent. Go Power Rangers.
I couldn't wait for him to leave. Oh, Richard.
Awkward.
Awkward.
All right. Next up, please don't mind the super high definition technology around him. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ricky Simons.
Hi. Help me. Is that working?
You're beyond help.
Ricky didn't know we were doing this, and we actually had to send a stalker with a telephoto lens, and we bugged his place. So that's how he's involved in this.
Please tell me I at least have audio.
Yes, we can hear you.
What?
What?
Good.
What?
What?
This is my hi. I'm Ricky Simons, the voice of Gerd. This is my friend, the autofocus box.
Make it move, Ricky. Make it move.
Oh, that's for private moments, Richard.
Next up, ladies and gentlemen, the voice of Professor Membrane, Roger Bumpus.
Hello. Here I am in front of my cue card here, so I know who I am. We at Chateau Bumpus always have visual cues behind us over our shoulders. I am one of the many empty vessels just waiting to be filled with the writing and the animation of this show. And I haven't spoken since we went off the air.
He has sat quietly waiting in Southern California to be able to speak up again in absolute silence.
I have so much to say.
Last but certainly not least, Mr. Wally Wingert, aka Almighty Tallest Red.
Yes, hi. Wally Wingard here, voice of Almighty Tallest Red, as you've said, and better late than never. Sorry I couldn't commit to this earlier, but I thought I might have had a little job today. Got pushed to next week, but I'm really happy to be here. I'm glad the timing all worked out, and hi, everybody. Good to see you again. Hi.
Hi.
What's fun is, as the promoter and runner of InvaderCon, this is a norm for Wally in my experience since I've been working with him. When we ran the second InvaderCon back in 2012 in Los Angeles, we had announced all of our guests. We had everything lined up. Things were set to go. And I got a call literally the week before the show from Wally going, "Hey, I found out I could show up. Can I stop by?" And,
you know why that is? You know why that is? I was on the Tonight Show at the time, and we had to tape every day, Monday through Friday, and we happened to be on hiatus that week. And they brought up the hiatus schedule, like, "Hey, I'm free, so I could go down to see you guys." So it all worked out.
And we made the conscious decision not to tell anybody, and the fans didn't find out. We had 1,000 people in a main events room, and that's when we brought him out and had an amazing time.
And they all said, "Who?"
Yep.
Who's that?
So that's it. Let's jump right into the questions. So the first question, and this question was submitted again. Our questions were submitted by fans. Is directed towards the crew. So we're talking to Aaron, Eric, and Kevin for this first one.
I was also crew.
Say again?
He was on the crew too. He was the colorist.
I was on the crew too, Tom.
Ricky sat in a dark room with like a Swede and a DJ coloring.
Backgrounds.
Okay. All right. So we'll
only 4 of them ended up in the show, though.
Only, yes. Nobody wanted to tell you, Ricky, but you're finding out now 20 years later. So going to Aaron, Eric, Kevin, and Ricky, what were the best and worst parts about working behind the scenes on the show? And we'll go ahead and we'll start with Kevin on this one.
Well, one of the things I loved doing was just being able to spot each show with Jonan. And spotting is where you sit down with the director of the episode and just like minute by minute, you detail out where music will be, what it'll sound like, what the intent of the storyteller is. And so just, I found, now that I've been doing this for over 20 years, I've found the most joy when I look back doing this spotting session. The most joy I've ever had is working with Jonan, because he loves music so much. And, you know, there would be so many times I'd be there with my little notepad writing like little rhythms. He would be like, he'd start beatboxing things, he'd start humming things, and he'd have, you know, great ideas of other film scores to be inspired by. And the process was just really fun. And I felt like he never really got in the, he had the perfect amount of like really good ideas without squelching my own creativity. So I found it to be a really sort of a beautiful creative melding of the two.
Awesome.
So,
Was there a
I
worst
really-
end to that, or
Huh?
was there a worst thing about working on it, or just the best?
I don't really have anything bad to say about Invader ZIM. It was probably one of the best animated shows I've ever been able to work on as a composer. Sorry.
Excellent. No worries. Somebody check your email. Ricky, what was your best? What was your worst experience working on the show as crew?
Oh, worst? Getting up before 9 a.m. Terrible. Hated it.
Hey, you're still
LA
bad.
life,
Twice in one day.
The smell in the color room. Wow. Wow. Best was I got to work with nice people. Both that
Smart
voiceover
answer
and
for
that
the
crew.
stream that
That's it.
everybody else is on with you.
Yeah. Who
Um,
were they, Ricky?
Smell.
Who
The
were they?
smell.
Who were those nice people? Because I've never heard you talk about them until now.
Oh, I don't remember anybody's name.
Okay.
well, you tell us, Eric, you're next. What was your best and worst experience? And be sure to name names.
My best experience was not sharing an office in the color room with Ricky Simons, where the smell was terrible. There was a Swede in there. There was a DJ there, a part-time DJ, and Ricky. Ricky smelled the most like potpourri, so he was delightful. But when you mixed it with everyone else, it was.
But Eric, wasn't Ricky's office in the crew bathroom?
Yes, and we've sworn never to talk about it again because it gives
Yeah.
Ricky the
It
shakes.
was a nice stall.
Yeah.
It was a great stall.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Within 12 hours of this stream, that will be an update on Wikipedia. I've learned
Yeah.
that from doing previous things with you guys.
In all seriousness, real quick, I had an opportunity on that show like no other show I've been on to write crazy scripts and pitch the most outlandish ideas possible, and have people say great, not say could we do a birthday episode instead, which happens a lot in the cartoon world. And so Zim Eats Waffles is something I could never do on any other show, or Bad Rubber Piggy. So that was a fantastic opportunity, and as long as everyone's singing the praises of Jonan, who isn't here, he's great to work with. Despite the fact that he drinks the blood of small woodland creatures, and he waits till he's in a meeting with somebody else. He won't do it alone. He has to do it in front of you. But he's just great because, Kevin said he has a love of music. He has so much joy, a dark, twisted joy around the process of cartoons. So in the booth, he was constantly making jokes or scripts and making jokes. He would make jokes in the animatic. He was just constantly engaging and being joyful. And a lot of people in this business aren't that way, despite the fact we're in a ridiculous business. So that's what I'd say. And the worst thing, again, having to go to the bathroom and hear Ricky sobbing in his office in that one stall.
Yeah.
Memories. Aaron, what about you?
Yeah, definitely. The best part about this show was the crew. I mean, it sounds cheesy to say that, but it's definitely the truth. I made friends on that show that I still have to this day. Well, actually, I don't know if Ricky and Eric consider me their friend, but I do spend a large amount of time with them to this day. So, it's just most shows you don't necessarily get that.
So you're not friends with any of the cast members, is what you're saying?
Absolutely not you. That's
okay.
for sure.
Checking.
But yeah,
what's funny is we all have a level of dark humor, but we know that there are fans watching that are taking this as gospel. And there's going to be a
I
whole
know.
Twitter conversation about how,
Yeah.
war between Aaron and Richard after this. Can't wait.
I know
Yeah,
where
which is a
Aaron
nice
lives.
segue.
I know where Aaron lives, so there's no war.
Oh my God, you have been in my house.
I
haven't you?
have.
Oh my Lord.
Yes, I have. And
Well, I'm
So,
going to keep my
speaking
doors
of-
locked from now on.
Going over to the actors, we had Kaylee from Liverpool in England submit a great question. We're going to go with that, which is, what would your character's nightmare job be? And for that, we'll start with Melissa.
Okay. Probably like Build-A-Bear, like could you see Gaz working at Build-A-Bear or like American Doll, like any little princessy kind of place where kids are
I can
way
totally picture Gaz at a Build-A-Bear, which is just strange.
maybe that would be her dream job, and then she could like torment all the other kids and boss them around. I don't know.
Okay.
No, I think that would be her nightmare job, probably.
Sounds good. Wally?
Tallest red, and I can probably speak for purple as well. Their nightmare jobs would be working with children. Anything that would involve working with children, because they're children themselves, and they wouldn't want the children to out-children them. So that would be their nightmare job. I personally, the actor Wally Wingard, loves children, but tallest red, tallest purple. Anything involving children would be their nightmare job. I'm relatively convinced about that.
Fair enough. Roger, Professor Membrane, nightmare job.
It would have to be two different jobs. One is an associate professor at a liberal arts program, and the other would be any job that says follow the science, because Membrane does not follow science, he leads science. He tells science when to get up in the morning. So I just want I would
Is that the puppet from the InvaderCon?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
The fact that those puppets have lived this long. My mother-in-law will be thrilled. Fun fact, my mother-in-law made all of these. Oh my gosh, and there's the gas.
Wow.
Mean.
Olivia, what would Tack's nightmare job be?
You guys suck. I hate puppets.
Oh, I should have brought my doll. Based on the fact that I think the Tack already had a nightmare job as a janitor when Zim trapped her on a planet for many, many years, which, sort of galvanized her whole retribution. I would have to say being a Mary Kay, one of those women that, drives around in the pink Cadillacs, and she'd be like, no, I'm not gonna sell lipstick. I ain't waiting, or whatever. I think it would be very embarrassing, and she would really dislike that. Being a Mary Kay, feminine, I think.
So she's at a Mary Kay, and now we have Gaz in the same mall at a Build-A-Bear. I can just
Yeah, it would not be pretty.
No.
shopping dream come true. Ricky, what would Gur's nightmare job be?
A job.
That
We
is
have a
an
lot in
absolute-
common. Yeah, Gur and I have a lot in common that way.
And last, certainly not least, Richard, what would Zim's nightmare job be?
Dermatologist.
Okay, and for fans of the show, that's a deep cut and 110% accurate.
I'm going to tell you a quick little story that's an interesting, weird thing. Speaking of jobs,
Okay.
When my wife Chris and I were looking for a house here in the San Fernando Valley, we were referred to a realtor, and Olivia may or may not know where this is going, but it was Olivia's mom, and she said, "Wait, you know my daughter?" I said, "I do." And she goes, "Yes, she's on Invader ZIM." I said, "Yes, she has a wonderful accent, or had a wonderful accent. I loved her mom. She was wonderful." Yes. She didn't find our house for us, but we spent some time together. And I thought that was an interesting.
And then she took you to a house. It was your house.
Yeah, she tried to sell me my own house. It was weird.
Perpetually.
I don't think I
pushing
ever
how
shared
small.
that with you, but yes, your mom was my realtor for a while.
Amazing, good realtor.
Yeah.
That is a small damn planet for a big town. So,
It is a small town.
all right. Moving on.
Richard, I happen to know that you have a job offer that is still current at the Sears in Puerto Rico. For those of you that don't know it, Richard and I did a Comic-Con in a mall. In front of our table was in front of the Sears.
On the other side of San Juan. It was like far away from San Juan. It was as far away from San Juan as you can be.
It was in South Africa, actually.
That's how far away it was.
I remember that gig. Oh my gosh. All right. So we've gone from bad mall shops to real estate agents to Puerto Rico. Moving on. Question number 3. This is from somebody named Invader Dammy, is how they wanted to credit themselves. And this is for everyone, so I'll go through each of you. What was your favorite Invader ZIM episode, whether it was released or finished, that you personally remember working with? And we'll go ahead and make this easy. Start with Wally.
The fans are going to hate me, but I love Mortos der Soul Stealer.
Yes.
I just love the. Do these rubber pants make Mortos' butt look big? Oh, puppies! I just loved that because it was so off, model of the rest of the show. It's like you never saw Zim except for one little scene. It was mostly Dib and this crazy. And Donna Grillo came to me and said, "Can you do Lothar of the Hill People like Mike Myers was doing this character on SNL?" I'm like, yeah, I think I can do it. So I rented a video and I just loved the Mortos thing, but that episode gets no love. But I love it. I think it's terrific.
Yeah, Wally, you were fantastic in that episode. And this is where I make another shameless plug for the book, because we cover the history of Mortos in the book and where we actually got the character of Mortos. And it's so great because Wally, you nailed it. And for everyone I see, Mortos is based on a real guy, an actual guy. And I won't give away it. It's actually it's like some death metal singer from Norway. And I just hope in my mind he talks exactly the way you voiced Mortos, Wally. But I have never heard a single song this man has recorded.
Well, thank you. I remember that we couldn't say I come from the underworld because of restrictions, standards.
We come from the place beneath the overworld.
Hey, right.
That's what I had to say.
Correct. Yeah.
And I think it's funnier than saying underworld. It's funnier than underworld. I think
it is. Yeah. Happy accident.
In the basement.
And it's funny how much the standards have changed in 20 years on cartoons and television. Aaron, same question.
It's Zim eats waffles. That's the funniest one.
Waffles.
Waffles?
It's hilarious. There's almost nothing in it, but it's hilarious.
I love that one too.
For everyone who went to InvaderCon, that's a piece of pop culture we leveraged hardcore. And for a couple of them, we actually created the Zim Eats Waffles breakfast, which I can't remember. It was either the first or the second InvaderCon. The property, the Marriott we were at, wasn't necessarily prepared, I think, for, like, we explained the concept, they built the buffet, and then when everybody showed up to do waffles, they ran out of waffles. And I don't know, those of you that remember this.
Sorry.
They were having to, they actually got like Eggo waffles and started cooking Eggo waffles in the back because they ran out of waffles because everybody was just eating and baking these ridiculous overbuilt. It was amazing. Good times. Next up, Eric, your favorite episode.
What's the episode where Data becomes human and Picard has to... No, I'm sorry. That's a terrible joke. Zim Eats Waffles. I have to say Zim Eats Waffles. I've said it now, so I'm done. No, actually, no. I was very happy that I was actually able to do something that ridiculous on the show. And Brian Konietzko, who was one of the board artists on it, who went on to create the show Avatar: The Last Airbender, he did an amazing job on the storyboards and just captured every last goofball nuance of Zim's little moments. Then, sighing and playing with a fork and just doing things like that. And of course, Richard gave, was able to do those very throwaway casual moments that Zim rarely got to do. It's like, what came over the other day?
Right.
Which makes me think there's an entire other like Invader Zim series that's, a little bit like WandaVision or something, which is just Zim's like every day when he's not invading, when he's not trying to take the world.
Not yelling.
Yeah, when he's not a quiet Zim. We'll just call it a quiet Zim. It'll air on PBS, and I think it'll be a big hit. But yeah, Zim Eats Waffles, and the fact that we were able to do it at all and it was just a great time. It was just.
Now,
I agree with Eric. Those are some of my favorite moments. Those throwaways, like in Florpus, when Gur says, "I ate a baby there," and Zim goes, "He did." I
ate a baby there.
He did. Just,
all right, so we have two for Waffles so far. Kevin, what was your favorite episode to work on?
Say Waffles.
The Waffles episode, musically, I remember spotting it. For some reason, I still remember, I was like, there wasn't a lot of music, and I get paid per episode, so I was like, yes. It was like a vacation for me, but actually that was a hilarious episode. But I think musically, one of my favorite was Parent Teacher Night, because it was such an intense comedic romp, but it was like there was a lot of tension, and it was just ramping. And then one of the favorite cues I wrote was the Parent Teacher Night waltz, like the parent waltz, and yeah, I love that episode.
Okay, Melissa.
Well, the obvious would be Gaz's taste of pork. That was that for me. But I want to just go ahead and say that it was amazing to come back and do Florpus. And for so many reasons, just to revisit the characters after so many years and to be reunited with all of these crazy people. And also to see where the characters picked up and how they developed. And I felt like, for me personally, there's the phone.
It's your agent. It's your agent.
I'm not
Get
here.
it. My
We'll
mother.
wait. It's a booking.
Millie, I'm on a cast. Yeah, no. Anyways, no, I loved coming back and doing Florpus, and I really loved to see how Gaz got to evolve a little bit, and how there were little minute changes, and I just loved being with you guys all over again, and it was wonderful, and I would do it again and again and again. And awesome. I love the way it turned out. I love the movie, yes. Guys. I love it.
Roger.
Mr. Kroon says to say what? Okay. Waffle. I love the waffle one. Yeah. Even though I wasn't. loved absolutely. It was my absolute favorite. I mean
thank you for that answer, Roger.
Love the movie, but I don't even know the name of the episode. My favorite thing became Membrane's signature line: "Not now, son. I'm making toast." And that's what all the fans, they say, "Oh, stay the line, stay the line." So I say, "Okay, give me some money."
Good news. Everybody in the Twitch chat right now will be very quick to correct us and let us know exactly what episode that is.
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Olivia, what was your favorite episode to work on?
Wonder.
Well, I didn't do as many as all of you guys, and one of the things that was amazing about doing Florpus was getting to meet everybody 20 years later. Though I felt that I knew some of you already and had met some of you prior to that, but I would say Hideous New Girl for me. The just jumping off a cliff with Jonan with this role, and just being pissed, getting off that spaceship with my cat and letting it rip, and just how punk rock Tack is always for that matter, but in that episode it was just phenomenally fun for me, and the tete-a-tete with Zim.
Well, to age myself with True Art here for a minute, when we started doing InvaderCon as a fandom piece, we anchored the parallel to it a lot with classic Star Trek fandom. In the 60s going into the 70s, because what happened was Star Trek ran for a couple seasons, got canceled early, but fans just kept the show going, and that's where Star Trek conventions came from. So we did that with Invader ZIM. And whenever we started looking at the fandom and dissecting it for what we do with the conventions, we always looked at your character as the equivalent of, in Star Trek lore, Q, which was the fan favorite who showed up for just a few episodes, but everybody knows who they are, and they will remind you how much they are. And there's almost as many people as a fan of that character that only occurred a few times as there are the primary ones. And it was great. And I saw a lot of fans. There was a lot of positive feedback that you were brought back for the movie. So awesome.
Completely flattered to be, what an amazing group of people you guys are. And Johan is just, I think, a genius. And 20 years later, he's still just creating, it's bringing a whole other audience now, which is so exciting.
And we're going to talk about that in a few too here in a minute coming up. Ricky, your turn. What was your favorite episode to work on? It could be as crew, it could be as cast. Just don't bring up the bathroom again, please. Oh God.
Right. Well, the movie is my favorite episode ever. But before the movie Christmas, I love the Christmas episode so much, and I love that was our original ending because it ends a million years into the future, and you get to see what destruction is left on the earth because of Zim's presence. But I really loved the movie because I got to sing and I got to work with Kevin and Jonan's music. And I got to be directed by 3 people. I got directed by Kevin, Jonan, and Richard for some reason on the Pieces Nice song.
We needed someone who could sing, Ricky. That's why.
That was the whole point. He can't sing. No, but I love that. I love that song so much. And I actually have the music sheet that Kevin wrote on my wall. So
oh, cool.
I think it's hard because like Christmas was like my favorite, but now I think of the whole thing as one big series. So the movie.
Well, let me stem off that for one second, because one of our favorite things to dodge at the InvaderCon conventions was somebody in the audience invariably always asking, "Hey Ricky, can you please sing the Doom song?" Has the song from Florpus replaced that as the de facto question at cons, or are you still getting the Doom question more?
I make them do it. I make them ask for Pieces Nice. Force them.
Yeah. Okay.
Violently.
It's awesome. New standard. Everybody remember that who's watching now. When conventions come back in 2022, ask Ricky regularly to sing that song from now on. And of course, Richard, what is your favorite episode that you worked on all of Invader ZIM?
That is just like a really hard question to answer because there were so many amazing episodes. And so I can list my top 5 episodes. I love Rise of the Zip Boy, which is one of my favorites with Pastulio. I love Planet Jackers because I love the homage to Fargo, which was amazing. One of my favorites and something that Kevin did the music on, which I think is amazing, is Bestest Friend, where there's the montage it almost felt like a 1960s Burt Bacharach montage, when they're playing ball, when he was trying people out to be his bestest friend. I love Hideous New Girl because I get that saying, "All right, I am prepared to let you be my girlfriend," or whatever the line is. I'm sure someone has a line, but my favorite one to watch still, I think, is I love Dark Harvest. I love Dark Harvest. I think it's brilliant. I think it's like watching a Carpenter film, the way the tiles on the ceiling go. It's really scary, and I love that. So that's my answer. I'm sticking to it.
It's funny because obviously today there's a huge influx of conversations about Invader ZIM on social media, being that today is the exact 20th anniversary. And one of the screenshots conversations that came up was referencing that in a couple other episodes, that when it was airing on television back then, it was TVY, like all ages, everybody can watch that. And in retrospect, if you tried to picture a 5-year-old kid watching that right now, it might not end the best.
Well, I got a little Dark Harvest story, not to do it. That was the first episode we showed to a tour of kids who were touring Nickelodeon, was Dark Harvest. And they used to bring tours of kids in, and they would visit the various shows, and they would came into ZIM, and one of the board artists, I believe it was Ray, said, "Hey, you kids, here's where we make the magic, kids. Here's where the artists are chained to the tables." And then he says, "Would you like to see an episode?" It just came back, and Dark Harvest had just come back with the music and the sound and everything. And my office was just on the edge of where they were watching Dark Harvest on the TV in the little lounge pit there. And it opens, and there's the Squeedily Spooch line. They go, ha ha ha, and there's line, ha ha. And then they get quieter and quieter, and I'm sitting in my office thinking, oh my God, the kids are dead silent. We are so getting canceled. We are all getting canceled. And I peek my head out, and they're all just looking at it. And it's the very end, and finally it's the scene with them, with the nurse's office, and it wraps up, and the kids are just slack-jawed. They're just like staring, like, oh my God.
Dead. Most of them dead.
And the Ray looks at them and says, so, do you like that? And there's this moment they all just go, yeah, that was awesome. And I'm like, okay, I have a job for at least a year. It's good. It's gonna be okay.
But ironically, it was a tour from the Slackjaw Academy School.
It was.
So they were all slack-jawed by.
Yeah, they were slack-jawed before we got there.
Before they ever got there, yeah.
Oh, they were slack-jawed when they toured Ricky's office.
Yeah.
And that was one of the positive, I think, in retrospect, something that's lended to the longevity of the show itself is the show never talked down to kids. It was very much,
no,
here's
it didn't,
the world.
Tom. It didn't at all.
It didn't even talk to them.
Thanks
Yeah.
for talking to them at all, Mr. Horvitz.
Talk to them at all.
Well,
Talked around the
in
corner
some
to
it
them.
did in very disturbing ways. Real quick for everybody watching, we have completed the first Hot Topic contest. So our bot and producer have picked a winner. So if you see the entry again, be sure to enter to win. We're going to give away before the end of the stream another $100 gift card, courtesy of Hot Topic, because as we were talking before the stream, we don't think they ever stopped making Invader ZIM merchandise over the past 20 years. And there's still plenty of it you can buy at your Hot Topic, apparently, including the Funko Pop I keep throwing up here. Yeah, T-shirts. They still have the T-shirts. They still have all the toys, and a new Funko Pop. Limited edition Funko, I think, is coming out in June or July. This is going to be exclusive there. So looking forward to that. But not the awesome puppets you guys have. Someday, we'll maybe do a line of puppets.
Amazing.
All right, so this next one's an interesting question I really like that we got submitted. And this is for everyone. And it's a question from somebody named Chowie. And actually, I'm going to start with Richard because there's a secondary piece of this question. And the question for everybody is, how would you feel if about Invader ZIM getting the Broadway treatment the way SpongeBob the musical did? And I'm going to start that question with Roger because my first question onto that with you is, did you ever see the Broadway SpongeBob, which they did?
You need to start with Richard.
Or Roger, sorry.
No, there's the SpongeBob reference in there. Sorry.
Yes, he gets
believe
bumped up
that-
to the line because of the SpongeBob reference.
Yeah, and it's not my fault. Okay, I sincerely believe, and the first time in my life I'm actually sincere, that I think the Invader ZIM the musical would be perfect in the same size off Broadway as Little Shop of Horrors, and that size of a house, 300 to 500 people a house, and in that scope, I think it would be absolutely great. And yes, I did see the musical, but it doesn't hold a candle to what I imagine that the Invader ZIM the musical would be.
Okay. Great approach. Great answer. I was going to ask Richard, but Richard's disappeared. Maybe he'll be back in a minute. So we'll go over looking at my other screen. Olivia, what do you think of a potential Invader ZIM Broadway musical?
I think we got to do it. I mean, I think it would be absolutely, I mean, it's right on time, is it not? I mean, this show was so too edgy when it came out initially, 20 years ago for some people. But I just think we've already sort of like had the litmus test of the fact that it stands the test of time. And I think to take it to the stage now with music and just whomever, whether we are playing the characters or people younger than us, who knows? But the fact of the matter is it has a life that lives on, and I think will continue to live on because it's just hit that apex of art that is cyclical and it keeps coming back. So I'm all for it. Great idea.
Okay. If Nickelodeon or Viacom, all the companies that be out there, if you're listening, I mean, I think we have something here.
Okay,
Kevin,
Tom, may I say something here?
Oh, sure. Go ahead, Roger.
I was totally kidding when I said it couldn't hold a candle to what I imagined Invader ZIM the musical to be, because it was an absolutely fantastic show. Okay, I just want to put that out there because my guilt was too high there. Sorry.
Roger suddenly remembered that the internet exists and that anything he says will
I
totally
loved the play. It knocked my socks off. I was joking, you see, because this is Invader ZIM, you see.
Too late. Sound bites on Twitter. They're coming for you.
Okay, fine.
Kevin, being our musical person here, what are your thoughts on that? You think it would work?
I have no idea. It's such an alien concept, you know.
Alien concept.
Yeah, I think if Jonan was involved, he'd find a fun way to make it work. I think, yeah.
Invader ZIM the musical. Okay, Wally, what do you think?
Yes, I'd be all for it on I'd be all for it on two conditions. One, my camera stops melting here. On two conditions. One, Kevin does all the music. No one else can do that music for that show except for Kevin. That's law. And secondly, that we get to harvest all the organs of the audience members at the show's finale. That'd be awesome. If you could meet those two, I'd be all for ZIM music. I was waiting for them to do the ZIM musical episode. I thought it would be a great rock opera because Richard and I are always singing at shows and stuff, doing Jesus Christ Superstar. I'm like, we have all this talent here with all these people. Olivia singing, everybody is musical. Why not do and Joe's like, oh, no, we never do that. But I'm like, but it's begging for that. I think it'd be really funny because every other show did like a musical opera episode, didn't they? I mean, they did a rock opera on the show Angel. Remember that, where they all sang? Or it was crazy.
It kind of became a show trope after Buffy did it the first time, and then it became
Buffy, right?
Yep. Everybody's going to do a musical version of an episode of something.
Right.
Aaron, from a visual standpoint, you think that would work on stage?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if they could make Beetlejuice work on stage, why not Invader ZIM? It would be beautiful. I'd love it.
lots of dark lighting in the theater.
Yeah, we need more
Eric?
darkness in the theater.
What?
Right?
Well,
We
first
do.
of all, I think we've been remiss in that Melissa Fawn actually is a Broadway singer. So,
I know she's coming up
she's
at the
been
last person on
dying.
purpose.
I've been watching her, just like waiting to answer this question. Just ask me about the singing. But no, I think this would be a horrible idea. It would be absolutely terrifying, and that's why they should do it. But actually, I'm going to take one. But I think actually what we should do is more like an Invader ZIM ballet, with no words but a full orchestra. Maybe like how Mark Ryden did that what was it that candy based thing, bubblegum. I forget what it was called. Whipped cream. They Mark Ryden, the artist. It should be all ballet. Nobody should actually touch the ground, though. I feel everything should be suspended, on wires, and the ground should actually, the stage should be covered in, I don't know, like lava or boiling hot oil. So if you screw up, one of them will get injured permanently. So I think that would be a huge success.
Yeah, a death at every show. That's what we want.
Well,
death at every show.
Not death necessarily, maybe just disfigurement.
Oh, no.
But yeah. Oh, well, fine. If you're
What's
doing
your goal with the musical? A death at every show.
not necessarily on stage either. Doesn't have to be. It can be someone in the audience. It could be somebody outside in the parking lot. Doesn't matter. But a death at every show, I think, really will drive it home.
Ricky.
Oh, I don't like musical theater, but that's only because I fall asleep usually. I really try hard. I try really hard. I sit down and go, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to watch, and then something happens, and it's ending, and I don't know what happens in between. But I think with Invader ZIM, if it was done like a Gwar concert, maybe I could stay awake for that.
Okay. And I'm wondering how many of the fans watching are old enough to know who Gwar is, because I love Gwar, but
There's
I
a
know
new
the fan
Gwar.
base.
There's a new Gwar.
Yeah.
They could look up new Gwar.
Gwar
There's a lady
2.
singer now.
Yeah.
Gwar
there's
2
a
Electric
lady singer
Boogaloo.
now.
Yeah.
The old guy, the original Gwar singer died, and they burnt his body in a Viking funeral. So we should do that.
Is
Viking
that what you
funeral.
want, Ricky?
This
do
musical's
that, right?
writing itself at this point.
Mhm.
Ballet, Viking fire funerals.
Whatever keeps me awake.
And anybody who's been to an InvaderCon knows that Richard hates singing. Richard, what are your thoughts on this? Invader Zim, the Broadway musical.
As long as they did it like Hamilton, I'm in. Be like, how does an alien irk and smirk and green come to earth and just you wait, just you wait. I'm Invader Zim.
Yeah.
They call me Invader Zim. Just you wait, just you wait.
I'm afraid I gave him the time to sit there. He's probably got the whole, like, all the songs written out in front of him.
It's already done.
Yeah.
It sounds like it.
And
then
Dib would be singing, helpless. And there's an alien next door.
Well,
Richard will be performing this entirely at the Burbank Playhouse starting
That's
on
right.
Sunday.
Yeah.
He will be singing all parts.
there
he
would
will be
a
playing.
3.5 minute Doom song.
Dude, right.
Yes.
That would be-
Mhm.
It
That's
would
the
just go
overture.
Doom, doom, doom,
Yeah.
doom.
Uh,
But
It
3.5
has to be 6 months, or it's not the real thing.
Yeah.
That-
Actually,
that's
It's a
what-
mime show.
yeah.
That's
Or
what
Kevin,
takes us into intermission and then brings us out of intermission.
I think the entirety of Act 2 is the Doom song. I think 25 straight minutes.
That's
And
it.
during that
Nothing
time,
else.
at least someone in the audience will want to throw themselves into that big lake of boiling oil we'll have on the stage. So, I mean, it'll do some
I
things.
honestly think you could have a successful musical if you did it like Spam-A-Lot and it was just like your favorite scenes from Invader Zim strung together. You know, it's just like Spam-A-Lot, which was just basically the holy grail.
I stayed awake for Spam-A-Lot.
Aha!
I like that's
Okay.
the one. Spam-A-Lot and Little Shop of Horrors. Those are the two. Oh, and
Yay.
Shockheaded Peter.
And to bring us full circle, a lot of people don't know this because they're fans of your voice for animation, but Melissa has actually performed on Broadway. And with
In
a
Guar.
tiny little show once called Wicked. Nobody's ever heard of it. Obscure Wizard of Oz stuff. What are your thoughts as a having performed there? What of an Invader Zim Broadway musical?
Well, the first thing that I want to say is when I was in the original Broadway company of Wicked, and I would fly home. I flew home to LA on my days off. We did the Christmas special, and we did the video, the commentary on the video, and I'll never forget that, going back to both worlds, going back to my Invader Zim voice and then singing soprano on Broadway. But the first thing that comes to mind for me is like an Avenue Q type thing, and I was like listening to everyone. I'm like, what if you had puppets and you actually had
Oh, it'd have to be puppets.
Avenue Q type.
Yeah.
You're holding your puppets, and then we could all do it. Now that would be that.
Puppets makes everything better.
Puppets makes everything better, and waffles.
Okay, so
But then, oh, I'm sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
But then but what Aaron said, if they could do Beetlejuice with all that color and all that purple and black and everything, I mean, this would be like a huge technical show that would have to be done. But I think it would be very magical and very dark. But I love also what Roger said too. Like if it was, this show is such a cult show. Why not let it be a cult thing in New York or on stage, and have that kind of oddness or weirdness, some kind of multimedia thing. I'm a part of this. I've been a part of this other theatrical experience over the years where we sang live singing to silent movies. Why couldn't we do something like that with Invader Zim, where you have like the music maybe live and then the actors can read the scripts to episodes, but the voices and the music would be live? That would be kind of a cool multi.
Kind of like Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
Kind of, but yes, like turn the volume down and we'll do it live. That would be kind of fun.
Wow.
Okay, there
Many
you go, internet. Tell the powers
Mhm.
that be. Here's all of the plans that we have now devised on the show for an Invader Zim Broadway musical. If it ever comes to fruition, we can blame Twitch. Excellent, and we're coming full circle here. Again, thank you everybody for coming. We're gonna to our final question. I want to ask everybody because this is kind of a good one to end on because we're down to a few minutes. the Invader ZIM series has now been around for 20 years, and it has stayed relevant to a young audience. When we did InvaderCon the first time 10 years ago, we were expecting the primary age of our fans to kind of be, 30s, people who'd grown up 10 years before, teenagers and even younger who had watched the show. And 10 years after it had aired, we had a large percentage of the attendees to the convention were teens and tweens there with their parents because they had discovered the show almost a decade later. Even now today, 20 years later, if you, those of you who do conventions, we can affirm this, that the fan base for this show is a number of older fans that are there for the nostalgia, but somehow this 20-year-old cartoon still connects in the modern age of, high-speed internet and Twitch and a whole different mindset still connects with these young people. And it's amazing to see. So let's just start with Wally. What do you think? Why do you think this can, I know Almighty Tallest hates kids, but you love them. Why do you think the show still connects with kids?
There we go. Because it's good. And we forget that this show blazed the trail for other shows like Adventure Time, regular show, all like a lot of the cartoons that are being produced today are possible because of the trails that Invader ZIM blazed. That cartoon did things that no other cartoon at the time had done and no other cartoon before it had done, but today is just kind of common. I can't, there was a period of time where I would get in the breakdowns for voiceover auditions would say, very Invader ZIM-like, blah, blah, blah. Everybody wanted to copy that kind of, that vibe. And it's just good, and good stuff. Wizard of Oz, Gone with the Wind, Invader ZIM. It just lasts because the quality is there, and there is a timeless quality, I believe, to it that is always going to resonate. It could be, 20 years in the future, 40 years in the future. It's just going to be good. It's like Beatles music. It's still good, even though it's 50 years ago. So yeah, the quality is there, and that's going to stand the test of time with all age groups. But kids are going to, relate to it as well because it's just funny and it's good and it's good quality entertainment.
Kevin?
I agree with that. I also think, I was thinking about this, Zim is one of the first anti-heroes, and anti-heroes is such a popular thing right now. And, like Breaking Bad and just so many shows just showing on the serious side, showing that this person who we would say quote unquote is bad also has these good qualities. But Zim really wanted to destroy Earth, but he was just a bumbling fool in how he did it, and he was lovable to all of us. And I think that dichotomy and that complexity that he brought to the show really, I think, was the secret sauce.
Awesome. Melissa?
Yeah, I have to agree with both of you guys. I mean, the fact that it's just so good. It's just so good. It's so fun to look at. And you can't help but love these characters that are all flawed. No, there's no perfection on this show. And also, the show, it was off the beaten path from the very beginning, and no one was really doing that, like what you said, Wally. And I think people have to find it, and then when they do, you can't help but talk about it and tell other people about it, and then these kids become they have this like hip thing that they can attach to. It's like this cool off the beaten path show that makes them hip and cool and different, like the characters and like the look of it, and you can't help it. It's like punk rock, and it's like the Beatles, and it's like things that that's why you meet these fans, and they're so cool and fun, and they're and then you're meeting their kids, and at the InvaderCON's, and I think it's just going to keep going and going and going, and people are going to keep talking about it and keep appreciating it and loving it. And that's all you could ask for when you're a part of something. And I think we all really believed it when we were doing it.
It was hip for being cutting edge, and now it's hip for being vintage.
Yeah.
Ricky.
Ah. Oh, wow. Hi. What? Oh,
why do you think it's endured all this time with younger demographic?
Kids love robots, spaceships, monsters, and Dookie.
Short to the point, but 110% correct. You're not wrong there. Aaron.
Kids like dark stuff sometimes, and we don't make enough of it for them, I don't think.
Fair enough.
Like
more,
my book.
more.
It's not
I think you mean like the "It's Not Scary" book that you can buy off of Aaron's website.
Making horror for kids, that's what I wanted when I was a kid, and you don't see enough of that, I don't think.
Well, I think when we were younger, it was just coming into its own when we had like Nightmare Before Christmas and kind of the Tim Burton era kicking off a little bit.
Right.
Roger.
I think it's the non-conventional quality of it. Everything is just so irregular. The animation, the characters, the dialogue, and kids, and it keeps you off balance. And kids like that sort of thing. Some of the episodes just stop. There's not, an official resolution to that particular episode. So it does keep you kind of off balance. And who among young people would not like to hear Richard scream for 8 minutes every show? I mean, it's just such a wonderful thing. And then I wrote,
Tom's frozen.
Tom Cruise is frozen.
Totally frozen. He's new. It's all Zoom.
I like Tom this way.
Yeah. Oh, now he's gone. No.
Question.
So everyone, why do you think Tom Cruise has stood the test of time?
because he's frozen.
Oh, he's gone now.
This what inmates
He
running
was
this
just here yesterday.
Yeah.
Are we on?
Oh, okay. Who's in charge?
Yeah.
Richard, why don't you answer?
I'll
the
show
question?
my book.
Yeah.
Too. Here's my book. You should buy this. Oh, yeah.
We can talk about him now.
There's Tom.
There's
Tom's
Tom.
back.
SpongeBob musical was great.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my internet decided it was going to take that exact moment when we're live to, of course, go down. So I'm actually using. She'll fix it. So we left off. Roger was going to tell us
I did.
why he thought.
He already did.
I did.
Yep.
Who's left? Who hasn't told us?
I think Olivia hasn't gone. I haven't gone. I don't know. Richard,
Olivia, why is it still connecting with young people?
Because I think the punk rock lives forever, which was already mentioned. Look, Johan did such an amazing job of putting this tribe of misfits together, if you will. That really, we can live in conventional daily life, but I think we probably prefer to just all get in a room and just scream and let it all out. And I think that kids, we've been like a voice for kids in a way, things that they've really wanted to say. It's just really well made. And every time you watch an episode, you notice something different about it. I think that's the timeless aspect of it that really resonates and continues to gain fans. That's my take.
Eric.
I'm going to echo what Wally said, is that it is just, it's good. There were a lot of artists that were basically taken off the chain. So often in animation, people are encouraged to do less than their abilities for purposes of schedule and budget and stuff like that. But Jonan encouraged so many animators to really do things that they never thought they'd be able to get away with on a show. And I think that helps it. But the other thing is, I think it's a show that never talked down to kids. We never, when I was writing it, we would never write as though we were writing to kids. We wrote as though we were writing to adults, which I think is what made the original Looney Tunes popular too. And I think kids watch TV, and on some part of their brain, they know it's kind of a gateway to the adult world. And if you talk down to them, they'll think that, you know, the adult world is full of idiots, which it is, but in a different way than kids think. But we never talk down to them, and I think they appreciate that. And I think that's part of the reason it survives.
Beautiful. And then Richard, why don't you take us home here?
I think there's a lot of reasons why it still resonates for kids. The main reason is that the kids that were watching it when it was on are now parents themselves. So they're passing it on to their kids, which is amazing. We're like a generation in now. I mean, Invader ZIM is almost old enough to drink. And those kids who were 10 are now 30, and they've got kids, and 13 and 33, so they have kids. So they pass it on. Also, you know, I heard the Beatles analogy quite a few times in this from like Wally and from Melissa. And I think the comparison that I make to that is, you know, in a way, I like John Lennon's quote, we were just four guys that were really lucky. We were a band, we were four guys, and we were really lucky. I think that all of us were at our peak and our prime, and it was just the chemistry of all of us together, the writers, the artists, the actors. We came together, we made each other laugh, and the fact that we could entertain each other, if we're having fun, hopefully you're having fun. And I think that continues. And when it comes to kids, I agree with Eric and everybody else that says, you know, the show spoke to kids who felt outcast. It spoke to kids who didn't like going to school. It spoke to those kids that have teachers like Ms. Bitters. And it spoke to a subversive part of all of our adolescence and continues to speak to the subversive part of adolescence. And I think that's the best thing about fairy tales, real fairy tales, Grimm's, is that they're subversive fairy tales. And Zim was subversive. And I think that subversiveness lives on and on and on, just like Grimm's fairy tales.
And I couldn't think of a better note to end on. Ladies and gentlemen, the voice cast, the crew, the creative team behind Invader ZIM. I know you can't hear them clapping, but I know they're clapping in the Twitch chat. I want to thank you all for taking your time today to hop on this Twitch stream with us to talk about it and walk down memory lane. For those of you that are watching, please stay through the credits. There are ways you can support everybody who contributed to the show. Voice actors are selling autographs online while we're not doing conventions. We have links for all of that in the credits and in the chat. Additionally, buy their art, buy their books, support them so that we can continue to have all this amazing art continuing and to create for all of us. For those of you familiar with InvaderCon, later on tonight on the episode of Convention Nerds, which will be at 9 p.m. Eastern. Everybody look up at the shameless plugs. They're all holding up. 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. We will be talking about the history of the convention and the future of the convention. But for now, everybody, please give yourselves a round of applause. Congratulations on 20 years of this fandom. Hopefully we'll be doing this again in 10 more years.
SpongeBob musical was great.
Be clear?